leading. You know, sometimes it seems like it's easy and other times it's really hard. Sometimes you sit down and you have people following you. They like what you say and they'll give you lip service, but they don't do a thing that you want them to do. They're just going to do their own thing. Sometimes you need to go back and remind them that you're in charge and that you really want them to do the following over here. And then sometimes you need to say, you know what, I'm in charge. Do this. If you don't do this, then really bad things will happen to you. Yes, they will. And I promise you. And then sometimes you have to make the bad things happen. Other times you sit down and you just tell them what to do and you ignore them for the next year and a half, and they just crank out the work and everything else. They've accepted your vision and the two of you are on the same page. You know, it's incredible how that happens. Everybody needs a little bit different type of incentive. The best ones sometimes are those that go back in the corner and they just do the work nonstop. But sometimes you have to be careful on the different aspects of it. Being a leader means you're going to wear a lot of different hats, and sometimes you'll be wearing a different hat for each type of employee. You know, I've worked with people that want no recognition. One time I had an executive director, she's reporting to me, and so it was her birthday. I called her whole staff, and we had 14 people crammed in my office. We're having a birthday party with the cake and everything else, and we're singing happy birthday. And then at the end of the party, everybody left. She says, "Can I talk to you?" So I says, "Yes." She closed the door. She says, "Don't ever do that to me again." She says, "I don't like public recognition." Okay, I got it. She didn't like it. And frankly, as a leader, maybe I should have been paying more attention that she doesn't like public recognition because her assistant told me she doesn't like it. And I went again anyway and said, everybody likes a birthday cake. That she didn't. Okay, so sometimes they do. Sometimes they live for that moment in the sun. Other times they cringe from it and they hide. It just depends who they are. It's you as a leader that needs to sit down and need to figure out how each one of them is different and what you can do to sit down there and bring them to their maximal potential so they enjoy the work and the work gets done and it gets done seriously well. You have to communicate a vision, rally others around that vision. You have to establish corporate values because really values are top down. They do not filter up from the bottom because everybody wants them to. No, it really is the leadership values that are out there. They need to promote the ethics of the corporation, which is a big deal because a lot of corporations don't have any ethics. So maybe you need to be the one to define what those ethics are. If change is happening, change frightens everybody. And if you're a leader, change should frighten you just as much as everybody else. But if it's inevitable, how are you accepting it? And then how are you going to embrace that change and bring everybody along with that change? Because they're facing different levels of fear. Oh no, change is coming. I've already know my job. Will they eliminate my job? Will they change this? Will they do? Well, that's your job to sit down, embrace the change, and get them to do it as well, and get the good stuff and have a lot of information with them. Accountability, responsibility, be transparent what you want. It really depends. There's people out there that are raw, ambitious. I've had people sit down and steal my ideas, claim they're theirs in a public forum and everything else. And then you sit back and say, that was my idea. Says, yeah, it's okay. No, it's not. You stole my idea. She says, well, don't give it to me next time. And then you don't know, and you're not the team player. This ambition stuff versus team, sometimes you got to pay attention because the higher you go in an organization, the more politics are played, and a lot of the knives come out, and your back could be full of scars by the time you're all done with your career pathway. Make certain that you're the one that's always on the high road. There's a whole series of different things. Autocratic leadership. This is the one over here where you tell, this is what I want you to do, all the way to, hey man, it's over here. Let's just hang out and participate together. You know what I mean? So you'll see the free reign style. You'll see that in what we call the organic type of corporation versus the mechanistic. You know, when I walk into a fast food restaurant here on the West Coast, I'd like to order what I like. I would like it also if I'm on the East Coast to walk in the same brand and order what I like at the same place. I don't want creativity as to how you flip my burger or cook my chicken sandwich. I want to have the same thing because of the fact that I don't want change. I want to have a mechanistic thing where that person makes it exactly the same. That's mechanistic. Or it's a matter of, I want to have some kind of creativity over here. So I want to have this. This is unique and different. That's free reign. So you'll have different structures and different levels. This chart actually is pretty simplistic, but it does show you a lot. Over here on the autocratic, this is my decision and you'll abide by it. Or, here's my decision and I want you to sit there and adopt it as part of you. Yes, yes. Or here's ideas. and I'm willing to listen to your questions on it, but I really want to go this path over here. And then you have the other extreme way over here is, hey, you know what here? This is your job, and here's kind of your job description. I want you to sit down and go out and do exactly kind of that. But if you had some new ideas, we're willing to listen to those things too on top of that. But go ahead, you work on that. And I'm not exaggerating. That is the philosophy in some organizations that are out there. And sometimes it's very motivating. And you'll get people working 55 and 65 hours a week based upon that. If you read some of the great entrepreneurs, Stephen Jobs, he was a pistol to work with. He was unpleasant and he was rude, except there was something about his visioning as a leader that people thought they were inside of a force field bubble, that anything could happen. And a lot of things did happen under his leadership, but he still wasn't a very nice person. But it didn't seem to matter because he changed the entire planet and our technology. And a large part of your cell phone, all the cool things on there, it came from really him pushing different ideas led by other people that really knew the technology because Jobs wasn't really a technology guy. He was just a visionary that wanted more, different, and everything else to meet the consumer needs. So it depends where you're on the spectrum over here. Don't be fooled by thinking creativity is only over here. You have to have the freestyle leadership. Sometimes you have the mechanistic one as well. It just depends. A lot of it depends upon you. Here is probably the biggest thing that if you pull this off, the more you empower your employees, give them more authority to make decisions on their own without consulting anybody, the better off they're going to be. There's a book, and I don't mean to push it too much because I'm not certain I agree with the person's personal philosophy, but Timothy Ferris wrote a book called The 4 Hour Work Week. A couple things in there I don't like, except here's what I do like. One thing he talked about was he was leading a vitamin supplement company and he had all kinds of problems. He was working 55 and 65 hours a week, highly stressed. His life was miserable building his company. Finally, he read something and he thought, okay, this is it. He gave the authority to everybody in his call-in center to give refunds up to $100 for any condition for any reason. So all of a sudden, somebody sat down and they got this bottle of vitamins they paid $12.99 for, and they didn't like it. The flavor was off, and they got a rash out of it. You know what? I'm authorized to sit down and do that. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit down. Here's another comparable product. I'm going to send you 2 bottles of that. And you know what? You've been a customer for us for the last year. I'm going to toss in something different. Here's something. I'm going to send it to you for free on top of this. But you let me know how this works for you. And all of a sudden, you got a call-in center employee, maybe the lowest level of the employees. They're giving away $70 worth of vitamins for a $12.99 bottle over here. I don't know about you, but I would probably be a repeat customer. That last stuff came out really good. And that's what happened. His profits plunged for the first few months, and then he started coming back up. As soon as people got the hang of the fact that, hey, if I got a problem, they'll take care of my problem. All of a sudden now, the empowered employees were helping people be successful, getting them cool stuff, and all of a sudden the customer had the assurance and his profits went up, and he got to write the book, The 4 Hour Work Week. I don't know about you, 4 hours a week running a job or a company is pretty cool. Enabling is a big thing. Empowerment really helps to sit down and give that responsibility to others because people really appreciate that aspect of I'm in charge of my own destiny. But you got to train them really good. But if you train them really well, give them the tools to be successful on empowerment, it really helps an awful lot. A large part of leading also is that knowledge management. Gathering the right information and keeping it accessible to all the employees out there. So you're managing the knowledge in the whole process. So leading, there's autocratic, participative, democratic, or that wild free reign leadership. But at the core, probably one of the best tools of being a great leader is empowered employees and making certain they're carrying the same vision, values, and ethics that you're expecting, and also that you carry as well, not hypocritically, but actually living those vision, values, and ethics on a regular basis that they can see and identify with. And that really is probably great leadership. Take care.